Joining me is Vancouver professional actor Dan Ginnane, and he is here today to talk about his professional acting career, his professional writing career, and his role in States of Fright. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so tell us, when did your passion begin for acting?
Well, my mother was actually really into acting. She really liked acting and tennis. And I've seen a lot of her material, and she even showed me some of her material growing up. So that was, I feel like that might have planted a seed or something like that. And then I got into tennis as well, but then I went out of tennis, and then I ended up getting into combat sports. So my acting kind of took a back step for the time being. And then I did professional mixed martial arts for 7.5 years. And then after that, I just started to kind of, I felt like I joined MMA just because I was like a young rambunctious boy, and I just had a lot of energy, and I it was my way of expressing myself. But I feel like that form of expression kind of wore thin on me for a little bit. And then I was like, you know what, like I can always come back to this. I'm still pretty young. Like when I made the decision to quit, I was about 21. And then I was like, what else do I like? What else in this world do I like? What do I enjoy? Because look, like, being a fighter is fun and everything, but it takes a lot of energy, a lot of discipline. Like there's a lot of not going to parties, a lot of not seeing girls, and a lot of not drinking. So yeah, after I decided to take a back step on MMA, I just thought I'd give myself a bit of space, and I ended up getting into this sport called tricking, which is essentially like martial arts mixed with gymnastics. So yeah, once I got into that, I was like, man, like this stuff is really cool. I'd love to do like stunts or something. So then from stunts, like I loved action movies, always loved action movies. I was like, oh, why don't I start making my own little action movies? So I started making my own action movies with friends. And you know what? The action wasn't that bad. Like it wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad. But the one thing that stuck out to me was how bad my acting was. So that's where I decided to go on the journey of trying to get into acting. I was like, you know what, I need to, if I want to do this for a career, I got to take it more seriously. And with sports, I trained. So with acting, I'm just going to have to train. I'm going to have to get into a school, get into full-time training, and it kind of started from there.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dan, do you think your former professional career as a MMA fighter, did it help you in getting into acting, in terms of discipline and mental?
Yeah, it actually, I'm very happy that it continues to help me, because it's really, it's almost like going through a breakup. You don't want to think that you just spent the last 7.5 years of your life doing something you're never going to do again. But the thing is that it's always there with you, in the same way a relationship in the past will help a relationship in the future. This MMA breakup has helped me with my relationship with acting, because the discipline's always there. I know how to be a professional. I know how to be on time. I know how to bring that standard, and, just for example, like, this is just a small thing, but like, I remember, for example, I was at my day job. So I was at my day job serving, and I noticed a couple of people coming in for job interviews, and they were all wearing like very, like, just slack clothing, not a good professional appearance. And they just didn't look like they really wanted to be there or they cared. And I said to my boss, how many people come in for a job interview wearing, trackies and a stained shirt? And it's like, you'd be surprised, more than 80 to 90% of people. And I was like, well, that's interesting, because maybe these people just don't know what a professional standard really is, and then I thought to myself, and when I went into acting, there's so many people coming to an audition, they don't even know their lines, So, yeah. So and then I spoke to a casting director. How many people come in and they just don't know their lines, or they just, they just like whatever, or they just say something inappropriate, or they just don't have that professional standard. And they're like, you'd be surprised, a lot more than 89%. It was a similar discussion. So I was like, wow. I think that sport fighting, actually, I do still use it a lot, but just in different ways. And you know what, like acting, isn't an easy career by any means. There's a lot of rejection and a lot of getting emotionally beaten down. And it's the same with fighting. Like, you will train for, 6 months for a fight only just to get knocked out in the first round. So
Yeah, it's about never giving up, Dan.
absolutely.
Yeah. And now tell us about you've won 3 wins. Tell us about your professional fighting career. Like you've done extremely well. So tell us about your 3 wins and 2 losses. Is that correct?
4 wins. Yeah. Sorry, 4 fights, 3 wins, 1 loss. Yeah. So that was in my professional MMA career, and then there was a couple of amateur Muay Thai fights that I had. And I had a semi-pro and a pro Muay Thai fight, but I only really include my pro MMA because that's when kind of like my combat career I feel like really started. Because all of those things are like just side components really to me. But yeah, with those fights, it was a really interesting journey because I had a lot of inconsistency in my amateur career. There was like win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. And I actually went and saw a sports psychologist about it. And I was like, how, I don't understand. Some of my friends would be on like one of my friends, Sean Gauchi, actually, he's a friend of mine in Australia. He's exceptionally good MMA fighter, but he would just go on winning streaks. Like it was like win, 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 win. And I was like, but every time I saw him getting ready, it was the same preparation. It was the same mental state. Like he was in the same place. For me, I was all over the place, like before a fight. Like sometimes I was good, sometimes I was bad. Sometimes I was excited, sometimes I was scared. And then I saw a sports psychologist, and she helped me get consistency out of my performance. So my first fight I had was a very nice and clear win. Then the second fight I had, I lost my composure, and my preparation was not good. And I ended up falling into a submission, so I got like choked. So that wasn't great, obviously. And then I learned from that. I was like, the preparation is absolute key, mentally more than physically. So then the third one, I actually was out. I couldn't train for a month before the third fight because I ended up getting really bad like tonsillitis, or it was like some sort of cough. I remember it was like a flu or something like that. So yeah, so for my third fight, I remember I was like, man, I'm not going to have the cardio because I haven't been training for a month because I've got the flu, but all I can do is meditate and be in the zone, calm and composed. So I remember going into that fight and I was super composed, and then I started to find my rhythm. And then the fight after that, I found my rhythm again. I fought in Queensland, and I was again very composed, very controlled, even though the environment like physically wasn't the best, because with fighting you're always trying to drop weight, and that can have a real toll on you physically and mentally. But yeah, and then I was really composed, and then at that stage I won that fight in the first round. And then I just remember like the crowd was cheering, and my team was celebrating, but I just wasn't feeling it. I was just like, nah man, I don't think I like this anymore. Like, and that's how I knew for sure. If I had have lost that fight, maybe I would think, no, I've got to fight again because I might just be quitting because I lost. But because I won that fight in the first round and it was a very convincing win, I was like, yeah, this is for sure. I don't really like this anymore. Like it's kind of, I don't have the passion, I don't have the passion anymore.
Well, it's like you go from the fighting stage to the acting stage now. And tell us about your first acting gig.
The first acting gig I had it was in Australia. Honestly, there's not much of Australia I remember in regards to acting that much, except I do remember there was a couple of ones that stood out to me. So I remember the first one that I actually remember clearly was I was doing like an advertisement for Vodafone, which is like a big telephone company in Australia. And yeah, I just remember it was like a 30-second TV spot, and it was mostly improv, I remember. So the director, he just said, okay, so I want you to say something along the lines of like, Vodafone's the best company, and I go to Vodafone to connect, or something like that. And then I was like, all right, cool. And then I said it, and then we had this like big professional camera in like a coffee shop, and he was like just kind of like coaching me through it. And he's like, okay, now say it like this, now say it like that. And then I remember, I remember obviously getting paid for it, and then I ended up, and then it was on TV for a little while, and it was surreal. Like people were like sending me videos of them in the cinema with their family, like watching me on the screen saying this, all that. And then at the rugby game and like all these places, like, man, this is pretty cool.
Great. It's great. And so you're originally from Australia, correct?
Yes. I was born in Perth, Western Australia. And then I moved to Melbourne, Southeast Australia, Victoria, when I was 12.
And you moved to Vancouver in about 3 years ago, is that correct?
Yeah, but coming up to 2.5 years. I think it was May 28th, 2018. So
Okay.
yeah.
And Dan, tell us about acting in Australia to acting here in Vancouver.
You know, one thing that stands out to me constantly, and this is why I'm so appreciative to be here, is that the standard of professionalism here is just so high. There's a lot of people I meet up with, and it's like, damn, these guys have like really usable skills. Like I could easily see them on television shows and stuff like that. And it's like, they come with their lines ready, they're prepared, they're on time, like they know what they're doing. And, you know, I kind of look at, for like a sport fighting to this career kind of example, is like in Thailand, that's the home of Thai boxing. So everyone there knows how to train properly, how to fight properly, how to eat properly. Everyone is on this like very competitive, sharp edge all the time. And then in other countries, because it's new to there, they're not as used to it. So with Canada, it's kind of like the home, Canada or America, kind of like the home of acting. And in Australia, we're just a little bit behind. At least where I grew up. Look, I'm sure all around Australia it's different. But for me, a lot of people I worked with didn't come on time, didn't know their lines, didn't have a performance rehearsed, and a lot of people, I don't know, just a lot of people I'd work with, just including myself, just didn't know what on earth they were doing. So when I came here and I actually studied and I actually started to work in the industry here, and then I actually, started to act with other people that in Canada, I realized like Canada and America just leagues above in regards to professionalism and just skill, just raw skill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on your role in 50 States of Fright. Tell
Yeah.
us about that. I've different states, right? Like, and you're in the episode in Minnesota, is that?
Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah.
So tell us about the role and.
Yep. So the role was super interesting. It's so funny actually, because I said to my agent, I was having a discussion with my agent, and we were talking about like what would be the perfect kind of niche career launch for me. Like, what's the perfect spot? And I said to her, you know what? Like, I love American Pie. I love Riverdale. I love like all these teenage shows, and especially like more like comedy, less so drama. I still like drama, but like all the dramatic stuff like Riverdale, The 100, Motherland, that type of stuff, like they're cool. But I kind of like the funnier stuff, like Pineapple Express or like American Pie or something like that. And I said, you know what, like I love playing like really dumb jocks, like just like some sort of comic relief, something funny. But it would be cool to do some sort of like college thing as like a frat guy or something like that. And then this role came along, and it was like college frat pledge. Bobby was like sarcastic and funny. I was like, oh my God, this is sick. And that actually threw me a bit, because I was like, oh my God, like the one thing that casting directors in the room really don't like is like desperation. When you come in, like, I need this, like, please give this to me, and I was like, I can't let the desperation kind of like seep through. Like, not that I was feeling desperate, but I just really wanted the role. Like, I was like, this would be awesome to get. So yeah, so I got the breakdown for the role, and then I did my thing, and then it ended up being, it was really good fun, and there was a lot of other cool guys on the set, and it was funny because they kind of, well, what I was told is that there wasn't like a massive budget on the show, or like there, like I think maybe my agent was like playing a smart game with me, but she was kind of like, watering it down a little bit. But when I saw my co-stars and when I saw the quality of the production and the quality of the directors and the quality of the writing, and like, I was just blown away, and I was just like, wow, this is something a lot bigger than at least maybe it was just my interpretation, at least what I thought it was. So yeah, I mean, the experience itself was great. There was a lot of cool things. I met a lot of awesome people and had a lot of fun. And it was just I could never see myself in a horror, you know, but when I watched it with my mother and I was like, oh, cool. This is pretty interesting.
And
Yeah.
it's on Quibi, is that correct?
Yeah, it's on Quibi, yeah.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah.
So if people want to catch it, they can watch it on Quibi, right? Yeah,
absolutely. So Quibi's doing a promotion at the moment. I'm not sure if it'll cut off in the future or if it'll stay like this, but if you sign up to Quibi, which includes putting in your card details, it'll give you 3 free months. And then after the 3 months, it'll charge you, depending if you want to keep going. So pretty much you can go watch for anything for free for 3 months, and then after that, you know, you can decide if it's for you or not.
That's wonderful. And Dan, what's next for you?
Getting out of quarantine, hopefully.
In this interview, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I had something that I was in casting for like since last year, except then quarantine just really froze everything. So I don't know what type of chaos is going to happen after quarantine, but all I can say is that I've been keeping up with regular acting classes. You know, I've been doing all the things, you know, making sure my skincare routine is regular and trying to keep everything under control even with the stress of quarantine and all that type of thing. Trying to stay creative, and at the end of the day, I think I can't dictate what's next for me and what the universe provides for me, except I can dictate like how ready I am for whatever opportunity comes, and my readiness is up here. So,
and you know how to do it because you have that discipline from being a professional athlete. And so tell us, how do you keep fit these days? Like tell us about your nutrition, like how important is sleep, and what is and any tips that you would like to share for people who want to, you know, get active.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I think the diet and the sleep. Before any exercise, the diet and the sleep is the most important, because, and trust me, I've been through all types of different things because of fighting and because of me, and I like to experiment. But if you die at some point, you'll have energy to exercise, and if you sleep some point, you'll be awake and disciplined, because it's like if you sleep right, your brain recharges full of energy, and then you can actually use your discipline. But if you're tired, you'll be surprised. You'll be at 1 a.m. eating chocolate bars because you have no energy to stop yourself anymore, you know? So it's really important to get that good sleep. Diet is absolutely essential. And one of the things that I find, especially in this quarantine period, to help enforce discipline and sleeping pattern is intermittent fasting. So long story short, I'm not sure those who have heard or not, except essentially you fast for 16 hours, you eat for 8. So all that means is you stop eating at, say, 8 p.m. and then start eating again at midday. All you've done is skip breakfast, but it has a lot of health benefits. There's a wide range of things, including autophagy that happens to your skin, where you kind of, your body like eats away at broken or damaged cells, and like it just helps. It helps with your skin. It helps with your metabolism, and also it helps with your circadian rhythm, because your circadian rhythm is largely linked to your eating time. So if you're eating at, say, midnight or 1 a.m., your body thinks that, oh, he's putting fuel into the body, that must mean we're going to have to move around still, and it can screw with, like, because I did night shifts as a security guard as well, and when you're eating at 4 a.m., it really messes with your body. Your body just, like, you'll lose your appetite throughout the day because your body thinks that you're sleeping, and then in the night you'll get hungry. It's just like, so that's one thing, or intermittent fasting, that helps, and only do it max like 3 times a week for max benefits. If you do it every day, it can ruin your energy, because then you're just malnourishing yourself. Obviously regular sleep, everyone has a different schedule, so you know, if you've got to get up earlier or later, you can vary it, but generally getting to bed before 12 is a good thing. And in regards to exercise, I actually don't go to the gym. I don't lift weights or anything like that. I usually go for runs and just listen to my music. And I also do like gymnastics. So or tricking, martial arts tricking, which is a new extreme sport I think I touched on a little bit earlier. But it's just doing backflips and kicks and stuff like that. And it's just really fun because then you're not only is your muscles getting bigger because you're subjecting them to new force and traumas, except you're actually getting something out of it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure weights, some people love doing weights and stuff, but for me, weights is so boring. It's like my muscle gets a little bit bigger and like I get a bit of a burn, but with tricking, it's like your whole body gets a burn, your fat gets a burn, and your muscles get bigger, and it's like keeps you in shape. It's fun as well. So that's pretty much what I do. I just do tricking, a little bit of intermittent fasting, and then and good sleep, and those are the fundamentals to any stable energy, I think.
Yes, and Dan, and running too. You mentioned you run, and that helps too, right?
Yeah.
And also, you talked about skincare, and that's just really important for your skin health. So, yeah. So, if people would like more information, where can they go?
In regards to
watch you, because you've been in movies like The Fighter, right, and other films. If people want to watch you,
yeah,
where can they go and see your YouTube? You have a YouTube channel too.
Yeah. The YouTube channel is kind of like on the back burner because it's like YouTube's so like I still tell people to go to the YouTube, but it's like I mainly upload to Instagram these days. And YouTube's just very diluted at the moment. Like this, like YouTube is so big that your video is a droplet in an ocean, So it's like it's pretty difficult. But yeah, so usually at instadan_Ginnane, Ginnane is my Instagram, which is where I upload like most of my frequent content. But I've turned that into an actor only page now. So now I upload my action and flips to Instadan Kicks, Instadan Kix. So that's where I upload my athletic pursuits, all my stunts and stuff like that. And then I also have a Facebook and a YouTube, Dan Emotion. And then a Twitter that I only just started because my agent told me to, Dan Ginnane at Twitter. So
yes. And Dan, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'm very glad that you've had me, and I thank you for your time. I really appreciate the interview, and I just wanted to put the word out there that there's not a whole lot of diversity in Australia in regards to film. I think we're getting better. Look, I haven't been there for a while, but I've heard we're getting better in regards to our TV shows and so on and so forth. But me growing up, my experience was that the TV shows were not very diverse. And even when I went into acting, the breakdowns would just say one ethnicity. It was just like one color the whole time. And then it would be like open ethnicity down the bottom. So for me, it's beautiful to see. First off, I just want to say to America and to Canada, it's beautiful to see how diverse it is over here and how they're really trying actively to mix things up, which is really cool. And you can see in the Netflix shows, you look at like 13 Reasons Why, or some of the newer shows. Riverdale's definitely very, very colorful, and some of the newer shows coming out. I forget there was one I was watching recently, but it was about a young Indian girl and her experience going through college, and I thought that was pretty cool as well. Except me personally, I came here because the diversity and the industry just wasn't as fertile and big over in Australia. So I definitely want to voice it out into the universe, out into this interview, whatever, that I really want to make a push for more diversity in film. And I would like to pioneer that and be at the forefront of that. But I understand that I have many years of experience to undergo and much more to do in my career before I can be a strong pushing force in that. But I just want to say this is the first recorded interview of it that I will be doing that in the future. And anyone out there who happens to watch this who's a starting off actor and maybe you're ethnic in Australia or you're a minority somewhere, that keep your head up, keep trying, and I'll be there rooting for you.
And Dan, you are a role model, and I want to thank you for being on the show. I'd like to have you come back in studio and
Yeah.
do this interview. And all the best to you. And it was such a pleasure talking to you, Dan.
Thank you. And you too. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so keep working out and keep acting.
Yeah, well.
Okay, bye for now.
All right. See you around.